Jachym.
And I'm Jachym.
Welcome to another heartfelt chat where today we'd love to share with you something exciting that I did or we did and I didn't quite expect. So anyways, thanks for being here. And today, after coming home, Jachym was like, I want to take a swim. Well, you can explain why you felt that way.
Mm-hmm. Right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, we just spent a whole weekend unplugged, and we had some really intense shifts. And for myself, I had some very intense shifts, and I felt a bit ungrounded. Like my experientially, my energy was a bit up there. and so I felt like I really needed to ground myself, but also really connect to nature, because there's a healing kind of quality, and it's just a different vibration, different way of engaging really with life is being in nature. And so that I really felt the importance of that.
Anyway, so Jachym felt that pull, and on our way home, I'm like, alright, let's go to the beach quickly because it looks like it's gonna rain soon. We definitely see some wind clouds coming in, and the wind was already picking up. So we got home, changed quickly, and we went outside to our scooter because we were gonna go bike over to the beach, which was just like 3-4 minutes. But we're like, oh yeah, it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain soon.
It's dark.
So I was like, okay, do we have a plan if it does pour? Because I don't want to drive back. I don't want Jachym to drive back when it's pouring. So Jachym's like, oh, I can still drive, but it'll just be slower. And I'm like, no, don't drive in the rain. So I was a bit stressed out. And we went there, and then of course, like halfway into our 4-minute bike ride, 2 minutes in, like I felt like drops onto my face, and it kind of hurt my face. Like we're driving around like 50 kilometers per hour, and it just like and I was like, no, it's happening. So then by the time we got to the beach, I was just like dragging my feet, and Jachym's like, you still with me? And I'm like, yes, I'm still with you, you madman. And so we got to the beach, we put our helmets down, and then the water's like turning a bit white. When the ocean, it gets more and more wavy.
Yeah, it was very wavy because of the wind, though.
Yeah. So at that point, you're like, okay, you're gonna come into the water. And I'm like, oh, it's already starting to rain. At this point, it's starting to come down. And I'm like, okay, Option 1, get drenched in rain. Option 2, already wet and find shelter. Or option 3, just screw it and
I thought you could go
into the water. But yeah, anyways, didn't feel good because I was already a little bit of a sloppy dog. So then we went into the water, and it was a little bit scary because it was quite turbulent. But of course we were the only two swimming. Because everyone, of course, was inside,
no one else is so mad
getting
like us.
a Thai massage or a foot rub or having a drink and watching us. So then we went into the water, and how was that?
It was amazing. At least for me, it was absolutely amazing. The beginning was a bit uncomfortable because I had to swim against the waves, and the rain was coming my way as well. So I was like not really able to see too much. And the waves were just in a height that you get slapped in the face. So you have to be a bit careful. You can't just you have to be careful that you don't get salt water all in it. But it was this kind of primal experience. There's rain, and there's wind, and there's waves, and it's just you and you're swimming. So for me, it was really, really good, and it was really what I needed. I thought it was the best idea ever. I knew though that you might not be enjoying it as much.
Yeah. So I mean, I made it out, but then at some point it was getting really quite bumpy. So I came back in, and then I was like, what am I doing? I started walking down the beach a bit, and I'm like, yeah, I still see you out there. So I kind of felt jealous, so I went out again. and then actually, surprisingly, within, I don't know, maybe we were out there swimming for 15 minutes. After 10 or a bit more than that minutes, it just cleared. So
not completely clear, but it passed over.
Yeah, but it stopped raining.
It stopped raining, and there were still clouds, but it was a lot brighter.
But it stopped raining, and that was really interesting. That was really interesting because I was expecting the worst.
Yeah, that's gonna pour like for hours.
It really just poured when we were in the water, and then it just finished. And it was really interesting because I was really dreading it. I thought it would be so awful. But the moment I actually kind of allowed myself to do it, it was a lot of fun. Like it was one of our like happiest, like best days here on Koh Samui. Probably because, you know, sometimes your best times are those moments where you don't plan it necessarily, and you don't even have a lot of control of what's happening. Like thinking back to, you know, some people, maybe their favorite moments was in college when they were like all night with talking to, you know, their classmate or friends about life and how that felt and how they didn't plan to stay up, but then the conversation was so interesting that they kept going, and things like that, right? Things like that are so precious, and those moments you just can't orchestrate it. It's not for us to plan the weather, plan for the clouds clear up, plan for how it felt when there was just like crazy waves and wind in our face and being the only people on the beach. Like experiences like these, if you're a control freak, which I can be sometimes, it's like hard to accept or hard to allow yourself to just go into that experience, which I did. But once you do, it can really surprise you in a really good way. And from there you can learn that, you know, good times are there, but you need to lean into it.
Yeah, I think it's very valuable, because we all sometimes try to orchestrate and try to make this perfect moment. And then something doesn't go our way or how we thought, and then the whole day or the whole moment is ruined, and we're going to be so unhappy and dragging, you know, our feet and being angry at life and really just suffer for no reason. And so when we actually let go and we can just go with the flow, so many things can fall into place without us doing any planning, and it can just be really right. Like on the weekend, on the last day, we took this walk down the beach for quite some time. We just came by this bar, who apparently only on Sunday nights, which has live music, and it was amazing live music. We had a nice drink there, and it was just like everything just fell in place, you know, and we could have never made this up. It wouldn't have been the same if we were like, yeah, we need to be there at this time so we can enjoy ourselves and whatever. Because then you already think about, I have to enjoy myself, but I'm not enjoying myself right now, so I failed and whatever. It can get all in your head, you know, about nothing really, but wanting to enjoy yourself. So enjoy the moment rather than trying to plan the moment. I think that's quite a good way of living.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of I think George Clooney, when he proposed to his fiance, and this is not to say that you should not plan like romantic gestures, but you can only anticipate so much. So he planned the whole dinner. I think he was at home or even cooking. I'm not sure what, but he tried to make everything so perfect. The playlist that was playing in the background, and then apparently the fiance had a really long day at work, so she was late, and then so he was there, and he was like, all right, eat this and eat that, and then she's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of tired, and he's like, oh, you gotta have dessert, and she's like, no, I'm tired, I don't want dessert, and the dessert is where he hit the ring, and she's like, I don't want dessert, and he's like, oh, you have to have dessert, because that's, you have to have dessert. She's like, okay, and then he's like, oh, well, it's behind you, it's in that box. So she's like, oh yeah, okay. So she's like, so tired of this dinner by now. She turns around, grabs the box. He's like, okay, yeah, that's your dessert, open it. She opened it, and she just looked at him with like a bitch face. She's like, it's a ring, like as in, like it's not even dessert. And he's like, I did everything right, but how come it's It's not working out. So, like
That's really funny.
sometimes we have these expectations, and sometimes it is hard for us to let go when things don't go our way. But when we meet life halfway, like when that is already happening in life, then you can soften up to it. And I know that if I was resisting the rain, I was resisting the wind, I was resisting the whole thing, then it would have gone really, really poorly. Like I would have ruined my own afternoon. I literally would have ruined my own day by trying to push against everything that was literally happening. And isn't that strange? Like the fact that we push against what is happening.
That's it's already here.
That's
it's already happened.
That's like saying there's a mug, there's a green, I don't know, inside, and we're like, no, should not be green. And we're just here the whole time holding this mug because it's here, and we're just trying to get rid of this greenness, or trying to convince ourselves that
it's bad.
Yeah, what's wrong with this, and how come I can't get rid of it, and things like that. And of course when that happens, and sometimes I do get trapped in my own head about certain things like that. Like technology is one. It's really it can really get me riled up when technology suddenly doesn't work, because I have this idea that it should always work. Then I have this resistance, and a small tech issue just becomes a huge headache suddenly, just like that. And but literally nothing's happening other than one little technological glitch and my resistance to it. That's all there is.
Yeah, I think it's very powerful to embrace the moment, and I think as Byron Katie says, loving what is happening, because resisting what is always a loser's game. You're always gonna lose because it already happened. It's like the worst game you can play.
Yeah. So anyways, we hope that this gave you a little bit of inspiration as to what new things that you can open up yourself to. And yes, maybe you don't have a beach near you or a pool near you, but there are still things in life that are happening and that you can say yes to, that you can welcome a bit more. I guess the one thing that I kind of want to end this video with is, if this was our last hour or our last day, would we get annoyed by the fact that there's wind or there's rain? We're probably just feeling like, oh my goodness, I can experience rain one last time, I can feel wind one last time. How wind feels, it's so precious. Or how rain is falling down on me, it's so incredible that I get to experience this. And every time an experience just gets too, or I get too annoyed by something that's quite normal, that's like life, then a good basis to ground yourself again to, and to remember, well, what is reality is to remember, well, how would I react to this current experience or this current situation if it was my last hour and my last day? And most likely those little things you get annoyed by, those things you want to resist, those things you want to control, you're like, let me feel that. Because the fact that it even exists, the fact that I can even experience it, that's beautiful.
Well, those are wise words. I don't have anything to add to them.
Good.
Otherwise, we're going to overload you with too much wisdom, right?
Too much. Never too much. But if you do want more of our stories, of my heartfelt chats, of Jachym's alignment talks, then make sure to subscribe down below on this channel, and you'll get, if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification, and you'll keep right up to date with all the things that we have to share with you, all the beautiful things that are happening in our life, all the things that we are learning personally that we wish to share with you. So see you in another talk, and let's keep in touch.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye everybody.